Good day. Why are all video game to movie transitions absolutely horrid?
Now, when a game doesn't have a substantial story, then it does make a bit of sense that the different filmmakers would try to make up one. Now, why they always find and hire the worst writers in history, I really couldn't say.
Ironically, most video game to book transitions are actually really good.
A good example of which is the Resident Evil series by S.D. Perry. Now, this book series captures the game so well that you don't even actually have to play it in order to get the full experience. And believe me, that is definitely advantageous if you hate the early Resident Evil style of gameplay.
The original Doom really didn't have a story. There were a few text screens here and there, but for the most part, you just ran around and shot things. So if they were going to make a film out of a game where you just shot things, they would have had to come up with their own original story, right?
Well, the original Doom did not have a film adaptation, but its remake, Doom 3, did. Now, you have to remember, Doom 3 had a fairly decent story, and it was one that would have transitioned well to a film. But of course, had anyone adapted that story, the film would have actually been good. And as should be expected, the story the filmmakers came up with was about as far from good as you could get. Really, it was barely Doom. The scene you're seeing here is the best out of the entire film. Really, for a Doom film, this thing is absolutely boring. Also, the monsters don't look anything like their video game counterparts. Instead, it looks like they were infected with the T-virus than anything else. In addition to that, the monsters are neither aliens nor demonic hellspawn. Rather, they're just infected humans. So yeah, this is not so much Doom, but rather a terrible ripoff of Resident Evil.
The original Doom had its own novelization, and really, for a story that was based on a game that didn't have a story, it's really good. So with that, let's take a closer look at Doom Knee Deep in the Dead.
The title of the novel is actually somewhat misleading, because the novel contains events from all 3 Doom episodes, and not just Knee Deep in the Dead. The cover itself is completely identical to the game's cover art. And yes, we do learn who the second Marine is. One thing that is kind of annoying is the fact that it's described as a classic new space opera, which is false on all accounts, as the novel is really not a space opera, as the characters are inside a moon base the entire time. And how something can be both classic and new at the same time, I have no idea. You turn it on the back, and it says that it is in the grand tradition of Heinlein's Starship Troopers. Well, that's not exactly accurate either, as Heinlein's Starship Troopers was more of a political commentary that featured extremely awesome power armor. Now, this novel is more in line with the film, and that's not bad, as the film did have more similarities with Doom than the original. And you can't blame him for that, because when you think Doom, do you really think political commentary? So now, let's crack open Doom and take a look. Now, in the original game, you never knew who it was you were actually playing as, and that was because it was supposed to be you. Well, there's a problem with that. You see, I never have actually been to Mars, and also, I have yet to become a Marine, so that isn't accurate either. So, I don't think it's me. The story here begins by introducing our Doom guy, a Marine Corps corporal named Flynn Tagert. The course of the prologue details his downfall. What happens is, his detachment is commanded by an archetypical Hollywood lieutenant. Basically, he is fat and stupid. And he has his Marines fire on some unarmed monks. Tagert, of course, objects to this rather idiotic command, and punches the appropriately named Lieutenant Weems in the face. Unfortunately, he does not have a glass jaw and doesn't go down. The monks get slaughtered, and Corporal Tagert is formally charged with striking a superior officer.
Tagert's company is sent to Mars, later to be shipped out to the Martian moon of Phobos. Now there's one problem here. Tagert hit Weems on Earth. So you would have imagined that they would have just left him on Earth in some kind of a stockade, right? Well, no. They instead find that it's more advantageous to take him with them. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to take a prisoner on a military mission when you could just leave him there.
Phobos sent a distress call saying that something was coming through the matter transport gates that were located on the moon. So apparently, there's no standing regiment on Mars itself, so they have to send all the way out to Earth to bring some forces in. But it does get slightly dumber than that. The military actually responds to the claim that things were coming out of Phobos by saying that they must be smoking something up there. Weems' detachment arrives on Phobos and looks around for a short while. They end up finding a couple of monsters, and when they do, they almost get wiped out to a man. Incidentally, their sole survivor outside of Tagert was a woman, so I suppose it would be accurate to say they did get wiped out to a man. In any event, though, Tagert learns of this significant clusterfuck while sitting around in Phobos' mess hall. Once again, why didn't they just leave him on Earth? Because his mere presence on Phobos is tying up 2 Marines that could be out fighting and most likely dying. Upon learning of his detachment's untimely destruction, he decides to beat down his erstwhile guards and try and join the fray. This does explain why when you start the game you're only armed with a pistol, because that is what the guards were armed with. And so the book goes on like the game. Flynn runs around and shoots things. And it's all written quite realistically. And if you have played the game before, it's like reading the game. As Tagert progresses through the Phobos facility, he encounters our fire-shooting friends, the Imps.
He's able to find one that can talk and interrogates it. And he finds out that the force behind the Phobos invasion is of alien origin, which is considerably more of an explanation than we ever got in the game. Really, in the game, it was of more demonic origin, and then, with that, it didn't make a lot of sense anyway. Now, he later finds 2 symbols on the wall, an A and an S.
Now, for the longest time, we never knew who this Marine here actually was. Well, it turns out that this Marine is actually a woman named Arlene Sanders. The book describes her in such a way that I would imagine that she looks something like this. Only here, she has slightly better dialogue. She and Tagert are fairly close, but are only comrades and not lovers. But regardless, upon finding her markings, Tagert takes it upon himself to try and find her.
Eventually, Tagert makes it all the way to the outer portion of the lowest level of Phobos base. And what he finds there is a little symbol left by Arlene Sanders in the shape of a death's head. Now the symbol is right below a crack in the wall where apparently she was able to force herself through. Mainly because she was frightened of what lay within the inner portion. What kind of a Marine is Arlene Sanders? She is a disgrace! What kind of self-respecting Marine shoves themselves through a wall to get away from a first-level boss? When she finally gets to episode 2, she's going to be running into these things every 5 minutes! And besides, it's nothing compared to the Steam Demon.
Cowardice aside, Tagert easily bests the less than imposing Minotaurs. Like in the game, he finds a portal and steps through it, only to find the shores of hell. Or realistically, the Demonos facility. It is here that Tagert meets back up with Sanders, and like throughout most of this book, they get to killing. Up until the point where they find a cyber demon. One of the things that's rather humorous here, though, is that Tagert likens the cyber demon to Godzilla, which is rather apt, I'd have to say.
After they best the cyber demon, they kill some more, until they finally find another living human being. That's unexpected. I certainly hope he's not wearing a red shirt.
The individual's name is William Rich, and from here they learn that the entire invasion is being controlled by the Spider Mastermind. As should be expected, our 3 heroes engage him in a mighty battle to the death. Unfortunately, our intrepid heroes are too late. The aliens have already invaded Earth, and society has fallen under the control of the aliens. How they had time to do that, I have no idea. Also, it makes the entire Deimos moon, which has since been moved into orbit around Earth, entirely pointless, because you would have imagined that they would have used the Deimos moon as a staging area for said invasion. But rather, they ended up just sort of appearing on Earth. And of course, the nuclear option completely failed to stop them. One other problem is, the book ends far too abruptly. Just look at this. I know how to get us to Earth, Fly. And it's over. I mean, for the love of the Emperor, make these books more self-contained. And see, every single book in the series, sans the final one, ends like this. Sure, it leaves a lot of suspense, but if you had bought this when I did, it would have been out of print, meaning that you had to get damn lucky to find these books. For me, I bought the first book in 2003, and I didn't find the other three until 2006! Take a look at the Eisenhorn trilogy. Each and every book in that series is self-contained, meaning book one ends, and it's over. Events began and ended. Hell, I bought book one of the Eisenhorn series, and I didn't get the other three until I bought this omnibus, which was like 2 years later. But that didn't matter, because it was fully self-contained. But self-contained books are another rant for another time.
Thankfully, all of the Doom novels have since been reprinted, and are actually quite easy to find.
Now let's take a closer look at the characters. The story is told from the first-person perspective of Flynn Tagert, and at first, he is a very annoying character. And the way the book is written in the earlier chapters, it seems like he is talking non-stop. Here's an example of what I mean.
This is an M9130 combat infantry rifle. It fires 5 rounds from non-tactical arc drivers. It uses the 7.62 by 5 R and has...
It's like that. Thankfully, he slows down a bit as the book goes on. And still, he is kind of annoying. He seems like one of those people that will constantly say brother in a conversation. And while it may seem like he is an overly John Wayne redneck, he is still a bit more complex than that. As the book goes on, it seems that he is able to understand fairly advanced concepts, and he even quotes poetry on occasion.
And this makes him a redneck nerd, so to speak, which is somewhat similar to myself. For example, I can name every captain of the Enterprise. Let's see, Archer, April, Pike, Kirk, Decker, Spock, Kirk again, Kirk a final time, Harriman, Garrett, Picard, and finally Picard again. And also, in addition to that, I've on occasion sat in a tree stand and promptly froze my fundament off in the vain hope that some type of animal would wander by.
Our Doom girl for the novel is a fairly decent character. At times, she can be annoying, but for the most part, she is a strong female character, and really, there are times when she even seemed more manly than Taggert. And overall, she's written to be her own character, and really is not just a token female thrown in to capture a wider audience. Sort of like an Ellen Ripley of the Doom world.
As for our resident redshirt, he's a little more complex than you would first expect, but overall, he's really nothing special.
All of the monsters are described faithfully and are expanded upon and given some explanation. It's explained that the monster infighting is due to a mutual hatred between all of the different monster classes, and that the only thing keeping them somewhat focused is the Spider Mastermind, who is actually given the role of the invasion coordinator. It is also learned that the monsters are created through a cloning process, and that there are a huge number of spawning vats. This would have helped explain the Earth invasion had they actually used the Deimos facility. All of the weapons sans the chain gun make an appearance. The chain gun itself has been replaced by a more realistic machine pistol. And that's because even though Governor Ventura can do it, real people cannot fire or carry a Gatling gun of this type. Mainly because the power generator is much too large to be man-portable, and the recoil would be much too great for anyone to fire from a offhand position. One of the weapons that makes an appearance in the book, but not actually used in the game, is the Sig Cow. And as you can see here, the player model is shown with this gun but it is never used in the game proper. One of the zombies uses a long-ranged, high-powered rifle, which seems like a pretty stupid weapon to have on a space station.
Can you imagine trying to fight in an enclosed environment with a weapon like this? For one, you're going to have issues with over-penetration. For another, close quarters combat does not really give you enough time to spend 5 minutes to line up your shot. Another problem is, well, when you have a gun that sticks out 6 feet, you're not going to be able to maneuver really well.
One more issue. What happened to Tagert's guards from the beginning of the novel? They never explained what happened to them. Did they get killed by the aliens? Are they still on Phobos station just twiddling their thumbs? There needs to be some kind of explanation.
One final thing, and I know it's not really a logical fallacy, but still, it's something that's kind of annoying. It's explained that the reason why Arlene Sanders leaves the little AS is because she was a fan of the 1959 film Journey to the Center of the Earth. That film has got to have the dumbest moment ever in cinema.
Salt.
Ugh, salt? What did he think it was? Dirt? Snow? I mean, would you ever go around just randomly picking up stuff off the ground and going, ugh, that's salt. I don't want that, I wanted dirt. Hey, that's one way to get a daily iron intake.
The book would receive 3 sequels. The second one features a bit of A-team engineering, as Tagert and Sanders are able to build a rocket out of spare parts. The other 2 novels were not based on any games, and for the most part they were pretty good, even though at times they were kind of hard to follow. Doom 3 would also receive 2 novelizations, and really, they helped make the story make a lot more sense. But really, they were just rehashes of the previous Doom novels, right down to the strong female lead that is somewhat romantically involved with the main Doom guy. But still, they're pretty good reads on their own.
If you're a Doom fan, buy the series. If you're a military SF fan, get the first one. If you don't like that one, don't bother with the rest. Now, for next time, we'll be taking a look at Resident Evil: The Umbrella Conspiracy. But for now, this is General Lotz wishing you good Clone Republic, good Clone Alliance, or whatever makes you happy.